Meet Zlata. Zlata, a frail and visibly exhausted little dog, was lying in front of a food store, her thin paws almost without strength, while her sad eyes scanned the crowd that hurried past. She was nothing more than an invisible shadow to those who ignored her. For 2 long and painful days, Zlata remained there, huddled in the biting cold, waiting for someone to notice her suffering. However, even with hundreds, perhaps thousands of people passing by, no one cared to offer help or even a look of compassion. Each gust of wind seemed to suck the little heat that remained in her body, and the snow, which fell incessantly, covered her thin fur, intensifying her discomfort. Zlata was a picture of loneliness and abandonment. Frightened, she would retreat whenever someone approached with sudden steps, fearing the worst. However, there was hope hidden in that wounded soul. At the slightest gentle touch, Zlata would let her guard down and lean in shyly, seeking the warmth and security of a human hand. She craved it, a simple show of affection that would make her feel that there was still good in the world. It was through a concerned call from a woman who had noticed her plight that I learned of her desperate condition. Wasting no time, I rushed to find her. As I approached, I could already see how fragile she was. When I called out to her in a soft, calm voice, Zlata slowly turned toward me. Her eyes, full of sadness and weariness, met mine, and hesitantly, she rested her small head in the palm of my hand, as if she knew that she had finally found someone who cared. In that moment, I knew that Zlata was much more than a lost puppy. She was a delicate and vulnerable soul who had been through unimaginable trials, but who still had hope of finding love. I sat down next to her on the cold sidewalk, gently petting her as she began to relax. It was a slow process, but in less than 10 minutes, Zlata was already showing a shy confidence. She followed me, her steps unsteady but determined, as if she were finally willing to believe that her life could change. I accompanied her to the vet, where, after an initial evaluation, we discovered how poor her health was. Zlata was anemic and malnourished, her body fighting a series of infections. She would urgently need a blood transfusion. The doctor explained to us that, in addition to the transfusion, Zlata would need to start an immediate course of antibiotics. Her condition was critical, but her resilience was evident. Even after everything she had been through, Zlata had not lost her sweetness. Everyone at the clinic was charmed by her docile behavior and her fragile but striking appearance. It was impossible not to be moved by her story, and in a short time, she had already won the hearts of everyone around her. As Zlata slowly recovered, it became clear that her journey was only just beginning. Soon, she would leave her dark past behind and embrace a whole new life, filled with love and care. Each day of recovery brought a new sparkle to her eyes and a new energy to her body. Her tail, which had barely moved before, now wagged happily as she explored her new surroundings. Zlata not only recovered, but flourished. Her days of suffering became a distant chapter, replaced by adventures and moments of pure joy. She now accompanied us everywhere, from quiet walks in sunny parks to trips to the beach, where she ran across the sand with a newfound freedom. Each new day was a celebration for Zlata, a dog who had once been abandoned and forgotten, but who now lived surrounded by love, care, and happiness. Zlata became more than just a pet. She was living proof that with a simple act of compassion, lives can be transformed. Her presence brought light and joy not only to us, but to everyone who was lucky enough to know her. Today, she is a symbol of hope, a reminder that every person deserves a second chance, and that love, even in the smallest doses, has the power to change anyone's destiny.